Killing Floor 3 just went into a closed beta over the weekend, and it is not making a good first impression. Now, I've been keeping an eye on the dumpster fire going on over on the Reddit and YouTube in the last couple of days, and oh boy, are people pissed off. And with good reason. Killing Floor has a loyal fan base who are accustomed to its dark, bloody atmosphere and its unique and silly personalities. Tight, weighty gunplay, simple to pick up but difficult to master mechanics, and iconic black and white filtered slow-mo gore bonanza that is Z-Time. These are the staples of the franchise, and Killing Floor 3 has almost none of those elements straight off the rip. The setting is no longer dark, it's been replaced with this generic future sci-fi setting. The characters are no longer lovable jack-of-all-trade weirdos. Instead, you've got several different shades of Universal Soldier, Foster from the previous games, and a ninja for some reason. The classes are now attached to characters and have like this hero shooting stick, including ultimate abilities, which is a bit weird. The movement is much faster, there's sliding and zip lines and mantling onto stuff. You can glory kill flesh pounds and scrakes now like you're the Doomslayer or something. Maps are weird, plain, blocky, it has a lot of bloom in places it shouldn't and you can't fucking see anything. Z-Time has been changed to this jarring red filter all over the screen. All the enemies are highlighted in red like it's a block-on effect you'd see from a movie in the 90s. But the biggest offender, and I think why a lot of people are so steamed right now, is the gunplay. Killing Floor 2 had some of the tightest, most satisfying pointing and shooting and watching things get torn apart mechanics of any shooter on the market. It's like how Destiny managed to pull off a whole franchise and made legions of people like myself do the same shit over and over again, year in and year out, all because the pew pew felt good. My first round of Killing Floor in the beta, I kept thinking, what the shit is this? Why does everything feel so meh? Where's the gore? Where's the flailing limbs and hilarious ragdolls when you like blast a klut's head off at close range and it flies across the room? Instead, the starting shotgun I was using from the engineer's kit felt like a confetti gun. The higher tier weapons don't feel much better. There's a lot of lasers and zappers and point and clicky water gun spray shooty guns. They just don't feel impactful. You kind of see the bullets leaving the guns. That was kind of a staple of the old games. Like you could see them traveling midair and they hit something in the head and it'd be really cool. It just doesn't seem to work here. So I guess the question is, what the hell is going on? Well, it seems like the developers tried to smooth out some of the edges and really open up the idea of Killing Floor to a larger audience. Trying to go in a different direction to bring in some people that aren't familiar with the franchise. Kinda get that, but at what cost? At the moment, considering all of the rhetoric we're seeing right now, it feels like a lot of the core audience, who should probably be the ones you're pandering to, the veteran players of Killing Floor, hate this change and they're not loving it. I mean, we're a month out from release. This is a beta. Is much going to change? Probably not. The silver lining here sort of dawned on me after a couple of hours of playing and mumbling obscenities to myself about not Killing Floor and what did they do to my boy. After a little while of continuing to play, experimenting with the new mechanics and rolling some of these new heroes, I guess, I found myself starting to have a little bit of fun. This was a little odd to begin with. I did not have high expectations after my first about hour of gameplay, but the weapon modding system does seem to add a layer of complexity and grind that I do enjoy in video games. This might just be me. I completely identify that. But the more I kept playing, the more I started to realize that the guns feeling like garbage is by design. The guns at the beginning of the game, when you don't have any mods on them and you haven't built them up straight out of the trader pod in the rounds of whatever game you're playing, suck balls. They're shit. They do okay damage, whatever, but they don't feel fun to use. Once you start modding them out and you give them different ammo types, the impact comes back to the gameplay. The shooting starts to feel better. This is such a bizarre design choice. Like, the game is not fun to start with, and it gets more fun the more hours you put into it. But this is Killing Floor. It's not Kingdom Come Deliverance. Like, no one wants to be a peasant for an hour and a half while they slowly get used to the game and figure out that you're supposed to mod your guns to make them work. That is bizarre. It's a weird design choice. I haven't seen many people mention this, but take the shotgun, for instance, with the engineer. You start off with a pump shotgun. It does have a lot of shells in it, like 16, I think, in a clip. It shoots really slow. It does delete things, but it does not feel impactful. You can shoot a guy, he kind of falls down. That's about all you're getting from it. Once you take that thing back into the workshop and you put, say, explosive shells in it, all of a sudden it's like gibbing everyone. You shoot it into a crowd and it just explodes in pink mist and his legs fly off. That is fun. That is what we want from the game to begin with. This is what you should show players straight away. Or at least come up with a prompt that says, hey, guess what? Your weapons are shit right now. You need to improve them to make sure that they are more effective. And the more effective they get and the more you experiment, the more fun the game becomes. Just as a quick example of this, here's some gameplay that I recorded in the shooting range in the beta. So the second weapon that the engineer gets is this automatic shotgun called the Bone Breaker or something. It's very fast by design. It has okay damage. It does not have a lot of pellets in a shell. It shoots relatively quickly. Sure, the gun design is okay. Now, after I experimented a little bit and I modded the hell out of this thing, all of a sudden it kicks ass. It rips. It has twice the shells. It shoots twice as fast. It's got flechette ammo in it that just tears dudes apart. It causes them to bleed. It does cutting damage, whatever that is. All of the normal enemies up until the armored ones like the Husk or the Scrake or the Fleshpound get destroyed by this thing. I can buy it by round 2, which is awesome. The budget that you have for loadouts, I think that's a cool system. You go up levels, you slowly get more money for the budget you have at the very beginning of the game. You can take some of your modded weapons straight into a round at the very beginning. That is really cool. I like that. That's a cool change. Some people aren't going to love it, sure. It is more catered to the grindy target audience, I suppose. The ones that want to like farm for stuff constantly and make a much stronger gun and show off how they can be overpowered from the start of the game. I like being overpowered. I think that is cool. I did the same thing with the ultimate weapon that the engineer has, this laser cannon with a secondary fire that shoots out electricity orbs of some kind. I don't really understand it, but What I did was I really lent into the electricity orb secondary fire because it destroys flesh pounds. It rips them apart, them and husks, anything that kind of has armor. And it became fun. I started to see like a synergy going. I get my flechette shotgun early on in the game, start just tearing through everyone. And then after 2 or 3 rounds, I pick up my laser cannon thing. And when a Scrake or a flesh pound comes at me, I blow them to pieces in no time at all. 2 or 3 shots. And that started to feel good. Felt like I was actually improving. I had a strategy. I had a build. In the old Killing Floor games, you could build out, but it was less about your weapon choices and more about the skill tree. The skill tree choices meant everything. Here, the skill trees are a little bizarre. Some of the choices they've made don't make sense. For instance, the ninja, who is effectively the berserker now, the close range character with some cool perks, like throwing kunai and throwing stars, which I like those, they're very cool. He's the character that gets up in the face. His starting weapon is a katana. You've got to be slashing dudes, and right up there you're going to eat a fair bit of damage unless you're a blocking parrying king, which I don't do that in Killing Floor. I'm more of just the slashy man. His perk that allows him to regenerate health killing enemies in some way or shape or form, it's at the very top of the Berserker tree in Killing Floor 2. They understand that players using this class are gonna get slapped up a lot. So here you go, here's a way to get some health back and some sustain. In Killing Floor 3, that's one of his very last abilities. You are gonna get smacked around until you get him to like level 25. That doesn't make sense. That is stupid. I don't like that at all. I've used the ninja quite a bit, and I think he's a pretty fun addition to the game. Is he as good as the Berserker? Maybe not. But the kunais are really fun, and the throwing stars are surprisingly strong when you power them up and you mod them out. That's my going to with the ninja now. I load in, I bring in my custom throwing stars, and I can roll those right to the boss. They're that strong. And the fact that you can go over and pick them up and stuff, like that's fun too. So here's my final thoughts on the Killing Floor 3 beta. I think this game makes a really bad first impression. First and foremost because from the title, people are going to want and expect this to be a Killing Floor game. And that is not how it feels or plays. It doesn't mean this is a particularly bad game. There's some fun to be had here. I've been enjoying myself the longer I've been playing it. But does it feel like Killing Floor? No. I think that this could be a completely different game, entirely separated from the franchise, and it would do pretty well. But as it stands, this is Killing Floor 3. So, do you hate it? Will you accept the changes? Or will this one burn and crash and completely ruin the studio? I guess we'll find out in a month.
Who keeps saying cheese man?